Hi.
Hi.
I read your first novel, The Rachel Papers, and I'm in the middle of reading Success, and I'm very amazed about the sort of characters that you come up with, and the sort of strange, outlandish things that they do. Like, for instance, that character in The Rachel Papers that is concerned that he doesn't want to have children because he's worried that his wife's vagina is going to grow too large from now on. So my question is, where do you come with this kind of things? Do they come from like people that you know there's some story that we don't know about that's represented in that characters, or the relationship between Terence and his stepbrother, foster brother? Where do you like come up with those like really sometimes crazy situations and imaginations of your character?
Well, you're talking about my first and third novels, and
Yes.
I can't read them anymore because they're so crude, I find. I don't mean
Yeah.
sexually crude, although there's plenty of that,
Okay.
but technically very crude. But those things that you mentioned from those books would be things that you overhear people saying, or people do actually say to you, if you hang around with disreputable people, as I've had a habit of doing. And when you're a young writer, I was in my early 20s when I wrote those books, anything that comes out of the air, you tend to work into your fiction. But the way a novel is born is often counterintuitive. Now, I'm sure many of you have read Lolita by Nabokov, and he claimed, and I'm sure he was telling the truth, he said the first pang of Lolita went through me when he read about a monkey that had been educated and raised all its life, and even taught to draw. And there was an example of the monkey's artwork, and what it consisted of was a drawing of the bars of its cage. And he said Lolita was born. Now, I think there's something slightly disingenuous about that, because Nabokov had already written a novel about logistically identical to a Lolita called The Enchanter. It's also a masterpiece. He wrote it in Berlin in the 30s, not in America in the 50s. And he, in fact, went on to write 4 more novels with the pedophile theme. So I don't think it was a bolt out of the blue when he started writing his masterpiece on this theme. Does this mean, all this means is, I don't want to turn it into an accusation against Nabokov, but it's certainly an imbalance to write 6 novels or 6 works of fiction on this theme, and 3 of those are spectacular masterpieces, shows that, all novelists know that what novelists write about are the things they like to think about. So there is a sort of slight imbalance. But say Lolita was born from that idea of a trained and trapped animal. And Nabokov, who's the greatest artist of cruelty, far and away, had the greatest understanding of human cruelty, in fact loathed cruelty, and particularly loathed cruelty to animals. And to go to a circus and see an animal performing tricks dressed up as a human being was for him an unbearable cooperation with a deep humiliation of the animal and its animal nature. And what Humbert does to Lolita is a violence against a child, transforming her out of her childish nature and making her perform for the pleasure of adults. So not an obvious route from the monkey to the motel, but that's the kind of odd way that a novel can go, how it can develop. It doesn't feel fully in your control.